Boom. Bingo. All right. So topic for today, folks, is going to be new customers. So I want to give y'all a few keys to selling new customers and give you some of the goods. So first, I want to talk about the types of new customers. So there's going to be a few different types. So the first one is somebody who's never heard of it. So this is going to be like somebody who's like, just straight up never heard Cutco, never seen it, doesn't know anybody who has it, just brand new. They're like, oh, cool, knife booth. Let me go over there, right? So that's someone who's never heard of it. Somebody who kind of knows. So it's like, oh yeah, such and such, I think has that, or oh, so and so used to sell them, or one of those kind of things. And then you got somebody who really knows about it, like maybe they've been recommended it before, or that they want good knives, or looking for them, looking for knives in general. And then you have somebody who, like I said, needs knives or just looking for knives, right? So those are kind of be like your, I guess, 3 or 4 main like types of customers that you'll run across. And now the 3 keys to selling to new customers is going to be, 1 is like having a lights out approach. Have a lights out approach. 2 is going to be knowing how to handle objections with new customers. Which I went into I went into objections on the last call. So if you missed that one, go to the YouTube channel to get a full in-depth call on that. But I will be touching on some of that. And then number 3 is going to be knowing how and when to drop down quickly and effectively. So number 1 is that lights out approach. So you want to have your scripts down. So you should basically, at any point, if somebody woke you up in the middle of the night and your house is on fire, you should be able to still be able to rattle off your new customer approach. Hey, what's up, Josh? Welcome aboard. How you doing, Josh? But yeah, you should be able to rattle off your new customer approach at any point in time. It's funny that Josh hopped on because him and I were actually role playing earlier today. So this kind of fits in perfectly. So you guys need to be role playing your script, especially being new, as much as possible. Goes to work. I mean, you guys got other stuff going on, but you're not working a show, so might as well role play. Because when you're at the show, it's not like a demo or a virtual demo. You don't get to have your manual out, so you want to have that thing down, right? And eventually, you want to have it down to the point where if somebody asks you a question, that you haven't got to in the script, you can answer that question seamlessly and then go back to what you were saying, right? We say memorize, internalize, then personalize. So everyone should get that thing down ASAP. And just to, cement that, when I was new, I remember, fun fact, Josh trained me, but I remember me and my friend Dan, who's a DM in Chicago, we both got trained at the same time. And me and him were role playing every day for 2 weeks after training, right? And then a show opened up, just a county fair. He's out, we need people to work it. Me and Dan were able to jump in because we had the scripts down. We had, did the, field training and everything. And first day at the show, first person I talked to, I saw a galley, and that never would have happened if I didn't have my scripts down. And I was having a really bad SC2 push. I'm like, oh, sweet, I can do this. I don't suck. So yeah, get that thing memorized. And I forget who said this quote, but somebody in Cutco said this before. But practicing on your clients is like practicing on your paycheck. Practicing on your clients is like practicing on your paycheck. So get that thing down at home now when it's training. Don't try to, get it down in the game, right? And a couple other ways of just improving. Obviously, going field training. Like I said, role playing and then listening to audios. So all of you who are on net the last 2 days, big step up for y'all in the business. If you missed the net, go back and watch old net. You can go on YouTube, Cutco Events. It's either Cutco Events or Dave Bush's channel has it. So if you type in Dave Bush on YouTube, you can go to his page and you can see some of the past nets. Also, some of them, I believe, are on Vector Connect. So you can find a talk for pretty much anything to listen to. And then, like I said, our calls are going to be on the Events Connect YouTube channel. After the call is over, I'll repost in the chat for those who want to check out the objections message from last week or anything else. But yeah, definitely listen to audios as well. And then number 2 is going to be know how to handle the objections, right? So like I said, there's an entire call that I made already on that. And it could honestly be multiple calls on objection handling just because that's so important. I mean, if you heard Brandon speaking yesterday, he is a master at that. And that's why, he sells so much Cutco, right? But yeah, so with objections, there's only a handful of objections out there. So you need to know how to handle all of those well, right? And handle them in a way that is going to make the customer feel good and is going to put you in a place to obviously sell and help serve them the correct way. One of the big ones that you're going to hear, especially when you're new, is that I want to walk around and think about it in, one of those ways, right? And I remember when I was new, my second event, I did not know how to handle that objection, and I got my ass kicked in 2 days. 2 days at this county fair, all I sold was a fisherman's solution. So don't want to put anyone else in that. I mean, it was a cheap show, whatever, but you want to learn from my mistake and not go make that mistake yourself. So think about it real quick. The way you handle that, you want to think about, oh yeah, no worries. Here, let me go ahead and write this down for you. That way you have it. And then you can use a deal binder, or excuse me, a deal pad, which a few different people sell those, or, if all else fails, just write it on a sheet of paper. And you're going to write down what y'all were looking at. Okay, yeah. So you basically if you're going to do it, you do the family set, right? Okay, cool. And then did you like the dark or the white handles? White handles, okay. And then did you like the lighter or the darker block? Darker block, okay, sweet. And then I'll ask a rapport question like, hey, by the way, how's the show so far? Okay, nice. Y'all come every year? Cool. Anything you recommend I check out? So I just take a little minute or two to just ask a couple questions, take it off of the set, right? Break the ice a little bit. You want to be the cool salesperson, right? And then I'm going to circle back. Hey, just curious, since I got you here, just so I know, with this set here, scale of 1 to 10, 1's like, Matt, it's never going to happen. 10's like, here's my card, let's do it right now. Where would you say you're sitting? And if it's 5 or below, that tells you either you're on the wrong set, there's no way they can afford this set, or they just weren't serious, right? Especially if it's like, if someone says like 3 or 4, it's like, oh, they weren't serious at all. But if they're like, 6 or better, you got a chance to close it. So, okay. Oh, like a 7 out of 10. All right. Well, let me ask you. So, and then from there, you can go, well, let me ask you, what do you think it would take to get you from a 7 to like an 8 or a 9? Or you could say, well, let me ask you, if I could do something a little bit extra special, like out of my pocket, out of my commission, just to go like that extra mile, so you felt really good about doing it to get you that, 8 or 9 today, do you think you might go for it? And a lot of people say, well, maybe. Now, if they say yes, you definitely got a really good chance of closing it. But yeah, maybe. What you got? And then I'll explain it. Well, I could do one of two things. So Cutco does set all the prices. So, there's not a whole lot I can do there, but I can take a little bit of a hit out of my commission to bring it down lower for you. Or I could hook you up with like some extra like bells and whistles like on top of it, like some extra free stuff. So would you prefer like a little bit of a lower price or like some extra free stuff? And if they say free stuff, I'll usually just give them whatever, I'll just close it off that. But if they say price, what I like to do is say, I'll say, hey, can I give you a tip? I'm like, yeah. And then I'll lean in. I'm like, come here. So, and I'll even like bring my voice down a little bit lower. I'm like, yeah. So no matter what you're buying, whether it's hot tubs, knives, whatever, the salesman ever asks you a better price or free stuff, the right answer is always both. And then a lot of times that actually builds more rapport because, all right, this guy is sweet. I was like, all right, now let me rewind the tapes, and I'll literally like spin in a circle, and before I could, a lot of times before I can even say, did you want the, and then, hey, quick learners, I'll do like a little high five or a fist bump with them. By the way, I didn't invent that. That's credit to Fonz Jenkins. Just want to give credit where credit's due. But I think I do it well. Shout out to Fonz. And then, give them whatever deal, take, $75, $100, whatever off the set, throw in a couple gadgets, whatever it is. When you're doing gadgets, by the way, the proper way to do it, it's not to explain every single gadget, right? You say, if you were to get two of these or if two of these fell on your doorstep or whatever, which two would you go with? And whichever two they pick, you explain those two. They've taken on a lot of information in a short period of time. No sense in explaining all five of them is going to confuse them. So whichever two they pick, just and plus, it's irrelevant if they don't want the other three. So just, whichever two. Oh, sweet, the ice cream scoop. Yeah, it's great with that. It melts ice cream on contact. Same metals in the Alaskan pipelines. And then veggie peeler, great. Number one bot item ever, double bladed, goes in both directions, take the tip out, build them up. And then, so what I'll do for you is not only I'll take the, blank off the price, I'll actually buy you these two, which these are an additional like 50 to $6 a piece. So an extra 110, 120 bucks. And like I said, that's not Cutco doing it. This is me personally doing that for you just because I want to earn your business today. And you just, stack the value up and then close from there. So that's how I would handle that objection. And then number three, which is where I'll spend a little bit more time, is how and when to drop down quickly and effectively. So this obviously is going to take a little bit of experience and a few times, but the more you do it, the more you'll get the hang of it, right? Because this, like I said, this is the booth. This is not a demo. You don't, with people at shows, you don't necessarily have their attention to go through every single set, right? So you want to go a little bit quicker because, they could just leave at any point, right? So a few easy questions to ask are like, hey, would you use everything in this set? If you really wanted to, could you swing blank per month? Did you like the idea of having blank? Right? So for instance, it's like, did you like the idea of having, a couple extra chef knives, paring knives, or maybe one of each would be a good, be good enough, right? Or something like, if you really wanted to, could you swing the 650 today, or is that just pushing the envelope a little bit? And then it's like, okay, is that like way out the budget or just a little bit out of the budget? Right? Hey, if you if by some miracle that, you'd use everything, it fit the budget, and you just fell in love with it, you think that would work? Stuff like that, right? And then if you're on an ultimate, whether you need to drop to if just going down to the Siggy, you can close it, or if you got to go to like a homemaker or a galley, right? Or if you're on a homemaker, if dropping to the galley is going to be enough, just that couple $100 swing, or if you need to go to a 5-piece, right? Or a 5-piece with table knives. And then a lot of times, so something I learned from a car salesman, there's no such thing as the right price on the wrong package. There's no such thing as the right price on the wrong package. So it's been plenty of times where I've had people like say no or object to the price, and then they'll be like, I don't know. It's like, well, let me ask you, is it too much money, or do you feel like you wouldn't use everything? And they're like, well, and when they go, well, that tells me that it's usually not the money, it's something that they wouldn't use. So then a good way to drop down, or not even necessarily drop down, but a good way to transition would be to customizing something, right? Like I've had plenty of upgrades where you just swap 2 knives out that they wouldn't use as much, and then you're golden. Like I can remember there was an upgrade I had where I think we swapped like the petite slicer for the brisket knife, Santoku slicer, and something for a boning knife. And it was like, oh, sweet. Yep, I'll do it. Price was exactly the same. Nothing changed, only 2 knives. And I remember at the state fair last year, closing a Siggy, I customized like 2 knives. I put in like they like fell in love because the way my pitch is I show an ultimate first. So like fell in love with like a salmon knife and like one of the other knives. So like, oh, we really want one of those. So I customized in like a salmon knife and something else. So the more practice you have, the more you'll be able to tell. But some of those little cues will help you understand that. Also, like listen to not only what they're saying, but how they're saying it, and like the body language too, right? If they, when you open up the book, if you show them an ultimate, they don't flinch. It's not really the money, right? But if they're fucking like, sorry, this will be on YouTube, but if they're like already like, jump back to the next booth, you know what I mean? It's probably not this one, right? So look for things like that. Also look for like the way that they say things, like how they're saying it can kind of. I mean, you guys all, or I hope you understand like the tonation and the inflection in the voice, right? Things like that. So that's, it's kind of the meat and potatoes. So now I want to open it up for y'all, for whoever's got a question. So who's got questions on what I've gone through so far? You just hop off mute, by the way. You don't have to hand rate.
I had a quick question about whether this stuff is like scripted out, or if you have a handout or anything like that that kind of goes along. I mean, I'm taking some notes, but not getting it all exactly. So
yeah,
or is it talks, or is it handouts, or what exactly do we got?
Like for the message I just gave, or in general?
Yeah, just the different situational stuff. Like I would say, even from talks from net, or even, like you can't write down everything. You can't capture it all perfectly. I wasn't sure if you had handouts, or if there's talks that you get some of this from, links, stuff like that. Just curious on that.
Yeah, I mean, I have my own notes that I made, but this is kind of from my head, I guess. But one talk that I would highly recommend, Josh knows this well. It's something that I think really helped me, especially last year with understanding. I didn't really touch on it too much today, but essentially, it's a Curtis Jacques message. And in the start of the message, one of the main, he talks about people come to the booth for one of three reasons: wanting something, needing something, or looking for something. And it's your job to figure out which one of those three it is. And if you can truly understand that, I'm actually gonna have a different talk on that. It's like more of like a customer psychology talk. But if you can truly understand that, you'll make huge leaps and bounds. But I don't want to get too that's down the road. That's a little bit more advanced. But if you want to check that out, you can. Um, yeah, I mean, you could just look up new customer talks. I know Ray Reed has a good one. So, like I said, go on Dave Bush's YouTube channel or on Vector Connect. There's stuff there. The the Cutco events app, any of that stuff.
So what if
Hope
you
that helped. Oh, go ahead.
sorry. What if you like bring up, their budget and they just don't really feel comfortable talking about it? How do you kind of redirect or like, make them comfortable again?
Yeah, I mean, you just you gotta do it in like a fun way. It's not like, what's your budget? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, no worries. I mean, just so I know, is this, a little bit out of the budget, or is this like, no way it's gonna happen kind of thing? And a lot of people, they're straight up, they'll tell you. Just like if you I don't know, if you're trying on like jewelry, right? And they show you like the, a $10,000, necklace, and you're like, oh shit, I can't afford, you know what I mean? Like that usually you'll be like, oh, you know what I mean? It's like, what do you have for $1,000 or, something like that. You know what I mean? A lot of, there's a lot of people who are open. Of course, there's some that aren't, but you just play it cool. Essentially, you're not prying. You're just trying to find the right option for them.
Right. Okay.
I don't ask how much money is in your bank account. I just ask, does this fit or not?
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
For sure. Who else has some questions or comments?
Yeah, Tuck, I was gonna say there's I could share with you like a handling objections script. Just has like, I think it's something that Matt Graves did 4 or 5 years ago. It just covers some of the most common objections. And so great to memorize if you guys are on the net, seeing how they role played. They're just kind of role playing through little like scripts like that, and after you do it enough, you're gonna be like, oh, I've heard this before, right?
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, if you want to post it in the group me, appreciate that, Josh.
No, only people on this call can get it.
Okay. Exclusive. But oh wait, my headphones. People on this call are entered into a raffle, by the way. So we'll talk more about that after the questions. But comments.
That's why I showed up today.
That was a big incentive. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was planning on coming. This is a raffle. I said, "Oh, I'll really be there."
Oh, I just figured it was
yeah.
mandatory, so showed up.
It is.
Mandatory for your success, baby.
Well, I'm doing my best. However, I do need to work on my scripts. So my question is, do you just like try to find someone to practice scripts with? I was thinking of trying to practice with my daughter, but she doesn't really know much English. because she's still 2 years old.
There you go.
So how do you, like, should I just like ask someone in our group, right? Like, hey, this time, this day, we're doing it. Is that how you did it, or is there another way to do it, or what?
Yeah. I mean, this part doesn't, you don't necessarily need a blueprint. Just ask somebody.
All right, cool.
You're a sharp guy. You're a sharp guy.
Yeah,
I know
I
it's because
mean,
I have Cutco.
one of the things I've done is even now I'm role playing 3 times a week with somebody in my mentee group, and then I think I'm role playing twice a week right now with Tuck. So I mean, just the best advice I could give is try to set a consistent time and keep it. And if it's like early in the morning or kind of not during income producing hours. And then Tuck, can I give a tip on memorizing?
For sure.
Okay. So one of the things, record yourself doing the script, read it out loud and record it. And then a lot of times it's best to do the script like standing up, because you're going to be standing up at the booth. So pretend like you're at a booth. If you want to go the extra mile, you can even kind of do a booth setup or some sort of ways to memorize is read it over and over and over and over again. And one of the things that we're doing on our scripts is we'll basically read the first paragraph and we'll read that like 5 or 6 times before we add the next paragraph. So it might be like 5 or 6 lines and read it 5 or 6 times through each and then go to the next one. And it's just gonna, because the way your brain remembers things, it remembers things in chunks. And so it's just gonna help you effectively memorize it faster. And then if you like, I don't know if you guys have heard of John Berghoff, but he used to be like a former top Cutco guy. He would do 3 times. He would basically do it 27 times in the matter of 3 days to memorize speeches. So he would do it like role play the script 3 times and then do that 3 times a day over 3 days. So then it was 27 times, because the frequency is what's going to help you get it down faster. And it's like my mentor, Jason, he's like, hey, it's better to role play like 10 minutes every day than role play an hour a week, because the frequency of it is going to be locked into your memory better. Now, if you can only do an hour a week and have that time block, do the hour, right? But it's better to do it more with the frequency.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Repetition is the mother of all mastery. Repetition is the mother of all mastery. Also, side note, Josh and I both coached with Jason Jeffrey. So if you don't know who that is, he sold a couple knives. Who else has
I guess the question I had was a little bit about mentoring. It's not really about the approach at all. Is it foolish to be like, well, let me see how I can do on my own, and then I'll add a mentor? Seems kind of foolish. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, what I'll say, so something that Jason has taught me is there's more than one way to the answer, right? But what is the most efficient way? One way might work 2 or 3 times out of 10, but another way might 8 or 9 times out of 10. So which way do you hope that made sense? Y'all like that? I answered the question without answering the question.
Yeah, I mean, I would say my thoughts on mentoring, it's interesting because there's a lot of tools and a lot of resources out there that are free, that don't cost money. So it just kind of depends on where you're at. But yeah, like Tuck said, sometimes it's like you go further faster by having a mentor. So it's like, hey, does it align with your goals? And then the reason why I've typically picked mentors is I'm like, cool, like they're the best at this thing, and I want to get really good at that. Or, hey, they're really, like, I coached Jason not only because he's really good at events, but he also does service calls, service events. And then he just has an amazing lifestyle. So I was like, I want that. Right. And so that's goes into picking a mentor. And then, you know, anybody on the team will probably do a call with you or so. So if you have any specific questions where you're like, hey, I think one of the reasons why I got a mentor too was I wanted a higher level of accountability and commitment, but it's also some mentors don't offer the accountability. They're just like, hey, I'm teaching you this, you just go do it. Like, it's not, I'm not going to hold your hand to do the homework.
Plus, every 2 weeks, you have me to teach you stuff for free. So take advantage of this while you can.
Yeah, Tuck should get paid for this.
It's not wrong.
I am excited to do my first show with Tuck. Scared, but excited.
You
buddy,
get
coming
extra
up,
picks
end of the
though.
month.
You kind of get paid with extra picks.
Yeah,
Which is a
I
great
get
reason to be a
compensated
leadership.
somehow. All right, folks. Any so let me ask y'all a question. And you don't have to answer this. This is rhetorical, but who's gonna role play first out of this group? And for those, oh, this is also perfect. Those asking who, this isn't rhetorical anymore. So when you ask, how do you pick somebody? Hey, who wants to role play with Jared?
Are we supposed to answer this question?
If you want to role play with Jared, you don't have to.
I guess
obviously,
me, I'll role play by myself.
Would anyone on the call like to role play with Jared?
I'm not like opposed to it. I was thinking about doing it with my mom just so like she doesn't know the answer that I'm looking for so that I can work. You know what I mean? Like I want to do it with someone who doesn't have a script and doesn't know what I want them to say. That's kind of what I was thinking. So then like I can respond to anything like unpredictable that she says, any like objections. So, but I mean, yeah, I can.
Yep, sounds good. Well, y'all can figure out, times and whatever, but just wanted to help solve that question as well. So, and feel free, you can just post in the group chat, hey, who wants to role play with me? Somebody will respond to you.
Cool. It's a good idea.
But any other last questions on what we covered today, or just anything events related or Cutco related?
Can you post the link to the YouTube group where all the other calls are, just so I can go there and then save it and whatnot?
Yeah, after this is over, I'll put the link to our group in the chat, and then I'll also post a little playlist I have in there too.
Do we ever?
That's good for good for scripts.
Yeah. Do
Right.
we ever kind of like talk about net after, like do a debrief or like a share, like a takeaways or anything like that?
I mean, feel free to post them in the chat if you want. We really have like I mean, maybe on the next team meeting we can talk about it potentially or something. But yeah,
Okay.
feel free if you want to put them in the chat. I'm sure a lot of people would would get some value from that. I know some throughout the net, people were putting stuff in there. I know I think I posted in there once or twice. So. Cool. Well, that's all of the questions and stuff. Let me tell you about this sweet raffle we got, baby. Sweet raffle. So, for being on this call, we were actually raffling off a salmon knife. Salmon knife. Yeah, buddy. AKA the thin slicer, AKA watermelon beast. So, I'm going to
And it's
pull
just
up
the 5 of us?
one of those name
Oh my God,
generator sites real quick.
I'm actually jacked for this. I'm so excited.
Wait, say that again. You came to.
Oh, we broke
Oh,
up.
hell yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. Kind of.
All right. So I'm just pulling up. Let me stop the recording too.